What up? UFC T-Dot breakdowns. We're here for UFC 274, Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. First and foremost, like and subscribe. This channel is a bit of a passion project for me. I just love the UFC. I watch way too much of it and talk about it way too much not to be at least putting this shit down somewhere. If and when this channel does begin to grow, we will grow together, right? So I'm not really doing a whole lot of stuff right now. I have ideas, I have thoughts for what I want to do, where I think this channel could go, but I really want this to be an us thing, not a me thing. So when we grow, then we shall grow, right? But you know, I got some ideas, I got some thoughts. Anyways, on to it. UFC 274, Oliveira versus Gaethje. Right off the bat, we got controversy. Oliveira is the first champion ever to lose his belt to the scale. Came over half a pound and is forced to vacate his title. So Justin Gaethje was the only one who could win that belt tonight. Funny enough, there are a few other fighters, including OSP, complaining that the scales were off for them about half a pound from what it was backstage. They were on weight, came out, they were half a pound over. Both those fighters, one is a heavyweight, the other one was under, so it didn't matter for either one of them. But for Oliveira, he loses his belt because of it. Also, there was this moment where Tony Ferguson got on the scale and started jumping, which could 100% mess up the calibration of an old style scale, which is why people are asking for a digital scale and have been asking for a digital scale. Dominic Cruz. That Dominic Cruz is a truth sayer. There is no bullshit in Dominic Cruz. That guy's about that truth. All right. I don't know. It's controversial. All I know is the fact that there's more than one fighter saying their weight was off. The fact that there's video of Tony Ferguson fucking up the scale. But whatever. Charles took it in his own hands. All right, UFC 274. So starting off with the early prelims, we had Journey Newsom versus Fernie Garcia. Journey has been off for 2 years. Came back, he looked good, in great shape. He was throwing crazy kicks the whole fight. Never got tired, never seemed winded, but he was throwing crazy kicks the whole fight. Just spinning kicks, like hook kick. He was throwing this spinning fist right into a hook kick. He landed that thing in the third round. I mean, he used all four weapons. Journey was clearly the winner there. Next up, you had Ariane Carnelosi versus Lupi Godinez. Ariane is built like a statue. Like she is. I thought Jessica Andrade had the best physique in the women's divisions, but no. It is Ariane Carnelosi. She looks like a bodybuilder. It's crazy. But, and she's so strong. She hits so hard. But Lupi Godinez got in there and just looks like... she was in control for virtually every single moment of the fight. And in control in a way. She was so calm and still. Wow. Just dominating her. She seemed bigger. She seemed stronger. She seemed more confident. It looked like a father playing with their small child. You know, having their way, but ensuring not to injure the kid. Like, that's how bad Lupi... I mean, but she was hurting her. But she looked so good. On the ground, in the scrambles, in the grapples, in the transitions. Like, she looked so good. On the feet, she looked good. Like... she just looked really good. And she was so in the moment. I feel like she won 2 of those rounds 10-8. I mean, it was bad. It wasn't bad. Excuse me, it wasn't bad. Because Carnelosa is good, and she was like, as in it as she could have been with Lupi being that fucking dominant. She's never looked better. Like, she looked like she should be fighting for a belt last night. That's how good Lupi fought. And Lupi's good. She's always good. But, man, she was on a different level last night. Like, just... she was on a different level last night. And then when the interview, she was so like, when she won, she was just like, yep, won that. In her interview, calm, collective. This is what it is. This is what it was supposed to be. Like, I'm the best in the world. People just don't know it yet. Ooh, that's what she said in her speech. They had Rogan, DC, and Anik on the call for the pay-per-view. I feel like that's the pay-per-view standard lineup right there. DC, Rogan, and Anik. Next up, we had Clayton Rodriguez versus CJ Vergara. CJ Vergara is always fun. This dude is like action packed. He wrestles really well. He's really good on his feet. He's a good fighter. He's always fun. And like he's the guy that kind of came out of left field and he's beating people he's not supposed to beat every time. Every time they like throw this guy to the wolves and he's just like, I eat wolves for breakfast. CJ Vergara. I like this guy. He's good. He's got some chutzpah, this guy. Before this fight started, though, man, DC was trying to explain that this Rodriguez kid is training with some of the best, right? And I know that this is not how DC meant it, but I'm just going to say what DC said and how it sounded to me. DC goes, Clayton is out there training. I can't remember the gym name. I didn't write it in my notes. But he says the gym name, and he says, with UFC Hall of Famer Big Nog and his brother. And it's like... What he meant to say was training with UFC Hall of Famer Big Nog and Little Nog out there at this gym. But because he forgot to say Lil Nog initially, and I guess Lil Nog didn't pop into his mind, he was like, UFC Hall of Famer Big Nog and his brother. Unintentional shots fired. That's all I'm saying. This is what it sounded like to me. Anyways, first round, right off the back, there's chance for CJ. CJ was landing his check left over and over again. Rodriguez was throwing these wicked body kicks. Had a good takedown. It was very even first round. I don't know. I kind of lean towards CJ, just the way he was reading him and kind of controlling the action. I felt like he was in control more than not during the first round. Second round, it's same deal. Clayton landing those body kicks, led to some kind of scramble. CJ ended up in the mount, getting ground and pound. Clayton was going for submissions, but CJ was game. He was hip to him. He was getting free on the feet. I feel like he was really winning. At the end of the second round, Clayton did have a moment where he kind of swept into the top and landed some big shots. He threw this like weird elbow thing that Joe Rogan described as a leaping, spinning elbow. I don't know what you would call it, but I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do it. And then the third round, there was CJ Chance again. He landed this big uppercut and got in this weird calf slicer position where he wasn't really in danger of submission, but like he couldn't really get out of it, and doing anything could have put him in a submission position. But I don't know. I mean, it was a really good fight. A lot of back and forth action. I have Fight of the Night with a question mark written next to it because it was that kind of good of a fight. But I really feel like CJ was dominant. I feel like CJ, not dominant. I feel like CJ was in control more than not, and I feel like CJ controlled the pace and the action. He looked better. I feel like he won the fight. The judges saw it as a split decision for CJ. I can't really argue that. I had it. The first round was pretty even. The third round was pretty even though I feel like CJ won all three rounds. I feel like he barely won the first and the third round. The second round, I feel like it was his round. What's funny is when Joe went in to interview him, he asked him a question and CJ just didn't answer him, and he said something. Blah, 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 blah. He's like, back to you, Joe. I just like that little moment. Next up, we had Tracy Cortez versus Melissa Gatto. You gotta love Tracy Cortez. She's awesome. She seems great. She's got her story is crazy. The stuff she's been through with her brother and her moms. She's dating T City, and they just look at them just all beautiful together. Make me sick. Looking all like you love each other while both being so attractive, fuckers. And your job's getting punched in the face, and you look better than me, both of y'all. Ugh. They make me sick with their beautiful faces and love. Cortez looked good. On the ground, she was dominant. Gatto was going for those submissions though, and she's long on the feet, like you could see it. It really was kind of a battle of wrestling versus jiu-jitsu, where Tracy would dominate position every time. She was getting really good takedowns. But the jiu-jitsu of Gatto was pretty neutralizing, where Tracy was getting the better of her in those exchanges, but there was always the looming submission. There was always that opportunity, There was a moment in the first round where Gatto went down and tried to get Tracy to come down with her, and Tracy wasn't with it, and she kind of was like, get up. And as Gatto started getting up, Tracy began to swing, and the ref warned her, like, hey, you got to let him up. But the thing is, the ref didn't stop the action. Tracy was like, get up, and she started to get up. And then the ref jumped in after Tracy started swinging again. So it's kind of like, I get what the ref is saying, and it was a little dishonorable of Tracy to do that, but also protect yourself at all times. And ref, you didn't stop the action, so why should Tracy stop? Yeah, I mean, it was really just jiu-jitsu versus wrestling, and Tracy's jiu-jitsu defense was up to par, and Gatto's wrestling was not up to par. So, you know, I feel like Tracy pretty much won all 3 rounds. The second round was a little bit closer. What I thought was funny was as soon as the match ended, Brian Ortega ran in there, and they must have kissed each other 1,000 times before they announced who won the fight. They there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, you fucking disgust me with how much you guys love each other and how beautiful your match is. Your matching of each other as a couple is disgusting. All right, Tracy Cortez wins by unanimous decision. Next up, you got Andre Fiallo versus Cameron Van Camp. Andre Fiallo is not a joke. This guy is a conqueror. He's a conqueror. And he just fought. It seemed like he fought on the last event. Anyways, he back in there again. First round starts. Cameron catches him. He is hurt. I mean, he doing a stanky leg dance. His one leg ain't stepping right. He trying to remain composed, but his leg is just, his face never changed, but his leg is like, we hurt, bro. And like literally, I looked down to type that Andre was doing a stanky leg, and I missed him knocking out Cameron. I went back, he landed a check left, and I mean, this Andre Fiallo dude is no joke. Like, he's no joke. Won by KO in the first round, and he's asking for another fight already. He's like, I'm ready to go. He could have fought on this card again. Andre Fiallo, that dude is no joke. DC was talking about him earlier, like before the fight started, talking about how strong he is. He said, man, this guy, man, last time I saw him, he showed me a video of him dumping me on my head with a belly to back. I just thought that was funny. So that was the feature early prelim was Andre Fiallo, just fighting so much and winning almost every single time he's in there. I think he lost once, and he's won every other fight. And the one he lost was to, like, who did he lose to? He lost to somebody who, like, went to fight for the belt or something like that. Like, he didn't lose to no slouch. All right, first up on the main card, we had Blagoy Ivanov versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima. This fight, man, heavyweights. These guys both over 250 pounds. Cracking each other. Every time they hit each other, it looked like the world was about to end. It was pretty close. I feel like Rogerio de Lima won the first and the third round. Excuse me. But it was close. It was very close. The judges gave it to Ivanov by unanimous decision. And it was the first fight with no interview. All those early prelim fights had interviews. No interview for this one. And it was weird because I felt like, if anything, it would be a split decision. And I really felt like Rogerio, I felt like Rogerio was in control more than not in that fight for sure. But they gave it to Ivanov by unanimous decision. That dude, Ivanov, man, that guy has you could just see the knife wounds in his chest and neck from when he was stabbed like 18 times. Anybody fighting that guy in a cage is crazy. Next up, we had Brandon Royval versus Matt Schnell. Rest in peace to Schnell's mother who just passed. He came in really emotional. It seemed like he was trying to kill Randy Royval, excuse me. Ugh. I swear if I wasn't recording, it wouldn't be a yawn today. Um, there were wild exchanges, wild grappling, wild. They were rolling, sub attempts. Both of them tried attempts. Um, in the end, I mean, Masvidal, you could tell he was really putting everything into everything he was throwing. Royval ended up catching him in a guillotine in one of the rolling exchanges, and Snell sub. I mean, the guillotine was so tight that Snell was tapping with both hands. Like he wasn't even fighting the hands no more. It was so tight at that point that he was just like, "Get me out of here!" Like that's a tight guillotine that got you tapping with both hands. Usually you got one hand fighting the hands and you tapping with the other one. He was tapping on his own thighs, like just get this motherfucker off of me. But I mean, he was going through so much, you know what I mean? Royval said some kind words to him after the fight, which was very honorable of him. Next up, we had Macy Chiasson versus Norma Dumont. And I hate to like pick on the women here, but I thought this was the boringest fight of the event until I got to the next women's fight. But this, I don't have much to say. They were pretty evenly matched. Macy was more aggressive and had more control. Dumont won that third round pretty handedly, but she lost the first two. Macy Chiasson won by split decision. Norma was like aggressively affectionate after the fight. Like I was like, are they dating? Like they kissed almost as many times as T City and Tracy Cortez kissed after her fight. Like just Norma was just like, yes, yeah, no, and then at some point she ain't got a translator. So it's like you was doing all that kissing and you didn't even know what she was saying to you. All right. Anyways, next up, we had Francisco Trinaldo coming in at 75 years old against Danny Roberts. Danny Roberts, I feel like he won the first round, although every time Trinaldo hit him, it seemed like he was on skates. Second and the third round was all Trinaldo. I mean, Roberts is really good, and he was fighting really well. But every time Trinaldo hit him, he was doing the Zab Judah. You know what I'm saying? Roberts, man, he's got heart and he's got a chin because he was in there the whole time. He was throwing big to the very end. Even on skates, he was throwing big. He hurt Trinaldo a few times too, but Trinaldo, I feel like he handily won that. He won by unanimous decision. And then on to the main card now. You got Randy Brown versus Chaos Williams. Again, this is moved up from the prelims because Cowboy and Joe Luzon, Cowboy Sorority, who has a new movie with Gina Carrero. It's a cowboy movie. I bet Cowboy's going to be good in it. Just my guess. He was sick, vomiting everywhere. Couldn't keep any food down. Not COVID related. Randy Brown versus Chaos Williams. Oh, this is a good fight. Chaos Williams, his name is befitting. First round, Chaos hit Randy very early and had Randy kind of dancing around a little uncontrollably. And he hurt Randy a few times in that round, and it looked like Chaos was going to probably get him out of there pretty soon. And Chaos was really swinging. Round two, I don't know what happened, but Randy Brown came out and was like, I'm Randy Brown, and just started dancing and moving and just playing. Like, I mean, man, he looked good. He looked good. And then, like, the corner in between in the second round, Chaos's corner, they had me pumped up. They had Joe Rogan pumped up, too. He said so. But, I mean, Randy Brown was just too much. In the third round, there was a point, though, where Randy was really put it on Chaos, and Joe Rogan was like, well, you know, never forget, Chaos has the ability to put the lights out at any moment. As Joe Rogan was saying that, Chaos knocked Randy Brown down with a left hook. I think it was a left hook, right? It was like a left kind of shovel hook, something. I think it was a left shovel. Anyways, Randy Brown, though, got back up, got back on his horse, looked good. I mean, looked real good. The judges gave it to Randy Brown by split decision. I can't really argue it. I gave the first round to Chaos. And then that third round, even though I gave it to Randy Brown, Chaos did have that knockdown. So I could easily see that round going to Chaos too. So that's how we get the split decision. Makes sense. Nobody was robbed. Excuse me. Fucking yawns. Next up, we had Shogun Rua versus Ovince St. Preux. It's almost like it's like 2004. Like, this is crazy. Like, these dudes are legends, right? They fought before. OSP knocked out Shogun. First round, it's really a chess match. You got these guys, they're both vets. Neither one of them is in there being wild. They're both being controlled and measured. They're both very skilled fighters. So you basically are just seeing Shogun's boxing versus OSP's kickboxing. It's pretty even the first round. I gave it to Shogun though. Second round was very even also, but I feel like Shogun was leading the dance. I felt like that second round was pretty slow and uneventful. First round was pretty slow and uneventful, but the little bit of action that was going on, I feel like Shogun was leading the dance more than OSP. Third round, OSP came out, really put on the pressure. A lot of kicks. He was throwing kicks throughout the whole fight, don't get me wrong. But the third round, I felt like he was more effective with his kicking. He was striking in general. I gave that third round to OSP. The judges gave the fight to OSP by split decision. I feel like Shogun won the fight, but I don't feel like anybody got robbed. All right, next up, we had Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson, which I didn't get a chance to enjoy this fight as much as I would have because Bisping literally posted the moment it happened photo of the shit. So it just popped up on my notifications, Tony Ferguson getting knocked out. And it's just like, God damn it, Bisping. I haven't watched the fight yet. Fucking Bisping. I watch the fight afterwards. I don't watch it live. So I usually watch the fights on Sunday. That's what I do on my Sundays. I watch all the fights. But anyways, fucking Bisping ruined this one for me. It's still a good fight regardless. First round, I felt like Tony won that first round. Came out, looked really good. Looked like Tony Ferguson. And I mean, the way that he got knocked out, I don't feel like Tony loses anything from this fight. I think Tony showed he's still Tony. But what are you going to do when someone kicks a goal with your face? Because they're like, that was a front kick. But that wasn't a front kick. That was a soccer kick. That was a goal. Like, Chandler was like, boom, and all I heard was go, and Chandler did a backflip, go, and he did another backflip, another backflip. He kicked a goal. That was a soccer kick. Go back and look at it. Boom. I've been playing FIFA 2022 lately. I swear if I wasn't recording, there would be nothing but silence here. I was playing FIFA 22. Chandler kicked a soccer goal with anyone would have went to sleep for that shit. Anyways, Michael Chandler wins by soccer kick to the face. Tony Ferguson knocked out for the first time ever. Michael Chandler says he wants Justin or Oliveira, whoever wins. But then he also calls out Conor McGregor. And then they're like, his son is here, and his son is a little black kid, and his woman's a white woman also, and his son's a dark-skinned black kid, which is fine. But I'm pretty sure the boy was doing sign language. So does Michael Chandler have a deaf black son? Just wondering. Next up, we had Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza. Right before this fight, DC got inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. He deserves it. Champ. DC's always going to be one of my favorites after that Popeye's chicken promo he made. I knew it was Popeye's before they even showed the box. I just seen the chicken leg and I seen the breading. I was like, that's Popeye's chicken. And then they showed the box and it definitely was Popeye's chicken. So this fight, if you could even call it a fight, the first round, I have a question mark for who won. I have there were Thug Rose chants right off the bat. It's a feint battle. Rose landed 2 punches. They both visibly left marks. Dean Thomas was talking, and he was saying, he was like, who do you think won round 1? And Dean Thomas said, nobody won round 1. He said, man, everybody in this building lost round 1. Round 2 was another feint battle. Carla attempted a takedown. So did she win that round? Third round, Carla attempted. I think she actually landed 1 takedown in this one, so I gave her that round. Fourth round, Carla attempted takedowns, and she actually ragdolled Rose a little bit because Rose wouldn't go down. And Rose landed a big right hand. So I don't know who won that one either. And then in round 4, Rose actually had a takedown. So I gave that one to Rose. Carlos Esparza is the champion now by split decision. At least her face didn't get messed up for her wedding. Next up, we had the main event: Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. Charles Oliveira is like the ghost of champions past, and Justin Gaethje is Scrooge, trying to keep his fortune, trying to win his fortune, I guess. That's not a good analogy. I stricken it from the record. So, Charles Oliveira missed weight. There's a bunch of controversy. Other fighters are saying the scales are off. Tony did something that can definitely mess up a scale. Belt's vacated. So, fight starts. Justin comes out, and I think that Justin was emotional. I think Justin really just, he's so close to this belt, the real belt, and it's his, and this guy fucked up. He's not even being professional in Justin's mind, and I think Justin was just trying to take him out. I think Justin knows that Charles has quit in the past, and he was thinking he can make him do it again. And so Justin was so overly anxious and aggressive that he kind of did this to himself. That's what it looked like to me. He wasn't as controlled as he's been in his last. I can't remember the last time I've seen him out of control like this. And he was in control, but he was also wilder than I've seen him in a long time. And that's crazy talking about Justin Gaethje, because he seems to be fighting wild, but he's controlled chaos. Right? Chaos Williams is the true chaos. Justin is the controlled chaos. But first 40 seconds of this fight had more highlights than like the whole last 5 rounds of fighting. Like just the first 40 seconds of it was wild. Gaethje knocked Oliveira down once. The second time, it's like he hit him and Oliveira threw a kick and was already off balance because of the punch and went down. But that one was kind of a fake. I don't think that was a real knockdown, but I'm pretty sure it counted as a knockdown. Gaethje got hurt a couple times and was doing the stanky leg. There was a point where Oliveira pulled guard, man, and Gaethje just stood up like that. Like he didn't. He just was like, nah. Just the way he got up from Oliveira's guard was just so smooth. At some point, Oliveira got Gaethje down and got him. He got him into he got his back and he had him like in a triangle. And Gaethje got free of it, but in that transition, he got on his back, got him in a rear naked. And there was a point where Justin was trying to fight the hands, but unfortunately, when he grabbed the hand, Charles Oliveira just used that. Oh man, I just realized I'm all out of fucking camera. Charles Oliveira, the whole video's like that, isn't it? I'm leaving it in. It's early, man. You're here for the information, not for my face. Later on, I'm gonna edit in stuff with like visuals, and it won't just be my face. But right, like I'm not going to overextend myself until the audience is either requesting or large enough to warrant that overextension or the extra extension. Anyways, this is a work in progress. It's a seed, not a tree. We're trying to nurture it to grow into a beautiful tree. We're not trying to make it a bonsai. We want this bitch to be a redwood. Tree euphemisms. Anyways, yeah, got on the back. Gaethje tapped, but I'm pretty sure he went to sleep after he tapped. He tried to fight the hands, and when he did that, he gave Charles an opportunity to readjust, and he did it so quick. And once it was in, I mean, Jesse's face was so red. But yeah, so Charles Oliveira loses his belt, wins, and is now the #1 contender. Interesting anecdotal note: Justin Gaethje came out to mariachi music. I don't know if he always does that. I don't recall that before. I love how Bruce Buffer is like part of security. Like there was a bunch of dudes that were like Oliveira's buddies or something, like not part of his team. They had blonde hair though, and they somehow got in the ring, or not somehow. They got in the ring after the fight, and just you could see they were all in the way. And like they're trying to say who won, and Bruce Buffer's in there, just hey, we need you to get back, separate, get out of here. You got to get back behind the thing. And he's like that though. He's that dude. Like he doesn't play that shit. I've seen him do it to fighters. Hey, get to your mark. Oliveira, in his post speech, he goes, the champ has a name. It's Charles the Bronx Oliveira, and like he's been saying that the whole time. And I mean, despite the fact that technically he's not the champ, I'm pretty sure he just showed he is the champ. It's weird though. At the end, he goes, "I don't have any call out. Conor McGregor, where you at?" I think we did it. Once again, we've come to the end. Please like and subscribe. Share with all your friends. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I can't believe you listened to this whole thing. I love you for that.